everybody, and welcome to Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Gary Vaynerchuk. So, the new Advocate came out, and everybody's been asking me to taste the wines from the Wine Advocate, and I'm going to do that. Parker scored a lot of wines, and in this Advocate, he did a great job focusing on Spain and the central coast of California, and that's what I'm going to focus on today. We've got 5 wines that Parker scored very highly, and we're going to see what we think about them here on WLTV. Before I get into the wines, I apologize for my lack of energy in the last episode. Obviously, a lot of people have given me some crap for it, and all I can say is that the wine sucked. The wine sucked, get over it, and we'll move on. We didn't make the wines, you didn't make the wines, it's just the way it is sometimes. Wines didn't show well, and that's what we do here on WLTV. We expose them if they don't show well. I apologize if you thought my energy was down. I didn't think so, I just think the wines brought me down. So, hopefully these wines will not bring me down, and let's start with it. I've got my friend Nikolai Volkov here, so everything is all set for a great tasting. The Marjoram, 2005 Sauvignon Blanc from California. 92 points RP, 15 bucks. I mean, just extremely high score for a California Sauvignon Blanc. I mean, really unheard of, so I'm excited to try this. I think they make great wines. I love their Rhone blends. This is a very up-and-coming producer from California. If you've never had their wines, seek them out. Great nose, very lively. Actually has more of a Muscat nose than Sauvignon Blanc. What I mean by that is, it's very floral. It's got a lot of fruit, a little bit of grapefruit. Really nice. Great kind of like peach spritzer on the mid palate. Finish is really strong, very herbaceous on the finish. I like that quite a bit. Complex mid palate. I mean, this is real Sauvignon Blanc. This is Sancerre's kind of in California. I'm really impressed with this. 92 points might be a little high. I mean, that's really high for $15 Sauvignon Blanc. But I would say that this wine is easily a 90-91 pointer in anybody's book. You should definitely seek this out if you get an opportunity. It goes great with anything light. Very crisp wine by itself on the porch. This is a winner. Seek it out. Good wine. Real complex too. Nice wine. And just pushing that price point for Sauvignon Blanc where it's still bearable and you don't think it's expensive. Tensley, 2005 4 Camp Blanc. Really interesting little wine from Tensley. 65% Grenache Blanc, 35% Roussillon. So now we're talking Rhone varietals, which is in California, which is really quite interesting. I mean, look at this color. Golden color. I mean, just really gold. It's gold. Like, you win the Olympic gold with this. I mean, this is gold. Yeah. And wow, what an interesting nose. Kind of reminds me a little bit of cheese. Reminds me of like a sheep's milk cheese more than anything else on the nose. Very golden, very floral, a little buttery aspect as well, so definitely that movie theater appeal. This is a complex wine. Every time I was trying to spit it out, I kind of was seeing another flavor, another layer. Very rich, actually totally coats your palate. A lot of complexity, very richness of like a green apple, Granny Smith apple. This butter is very obvious buttered popcorn on the finish. It's still coming through now, and it's even coming through a little bit more on the finish. For a $25 bottle of wine and 91 points Parker, I would say the score is on point. I just think that maybe for a couple extra bucks you can go out and buy a Chateauneuf-du-Pape Blanc from the Rhone region that may show you just a little bit more of a backbone, a little more structure, a little bit more ageability. This wine is definitely drinking great now. I've got no problems with this wine whatsoever. On the contrary, I'm actually a fan of this wine. I don't know. I just think it could be a little bit better. I'm gonna score 89 points, maybe up to 90 points. I don't know. Very good. I don't want to come off wrong because this is a very good bottle of wine. I think a lot of people would really enjoy this bottle of wine. The thing that keeps running through my head is 5 more bucks gets me a Chateauneuf-du-Pape Blanc, and I've just had too many Chateauneuf-du-Pape Blancs that are better for the same characteristic and styles as this wine. Let's move on. Really excited to try this. This is the Alonso Yerro 2004 Ribera del Duero, and this is 94 points Parker, 100% Tempranillo, and $25 to $30. I mean, on paper, this is crazy stuff. I mean, just unbelievable. But on paper, Sam Bowie was better than Michael Jordan, and we all know how that worked out. Really interesting nose. Kind of tight, very closed. It's a very young wine, so that, you know, that's obviously going to be a factor here. Very New World fruit, big fruit bomb, a lot of complexity on the fruit. When I mean complexity, intensity. That's what I'm actually looking for. Take away, whoop, no complexity, intensity. Very intense fruit, very, very bright and powerful, but extremely one-dimensional. I can't help thinking Welch's grape juice with a kick of alcohol. It's just kind of sweet, very rich, but I don't know, you know, no backbone, mid-palate's weak, the finish is all one flavor, kind of muted grape flavor. I mean, this is a really nice bottle of wine. I mean, I guess my expectations were out here. 94 points Parker for 25 bucks to me is like, run out and buy cases. I'm going to say don't do that on this wine, even though obviously I have no impact because we're selling about 10 cases an hour of this wine online. But I'm going to score this 89 to 90. I'm just not feeling it at all, actually. I don't know. This Ribera does not do it for me. It's very one-dimensional. And I love New World fruit. Everybody knows that. It's just, this is way too one-dimensional for me. So let's pass. Alto Mancaya, 2003. And this is a 100% Grenache wine. And this is 93 points Parker and about $35. Alto Mancaya has been a great producer of wines. We've done Alto Mancaya, I think, on Wine Library TV in the past. I don't think this vintage. Very menthol nose. Makes me think of bubblegum, you know, kind of like a mix of like Trident and raspberry. Very, very awkward. It's a big wine. Tannins are very firm, very ripe fruit, very, very severe tannins on the mid palate to the finish. Then the finish comes off sweet with a little bit of cherry and licorice. Quite nice licorice, actually. If you're a licorice fan, you'd love this wine. It's very obvious on the finish. Yeah, very menthol and minty as well on the nose. Kind of mixes well. It's a very, very intriguing wine. It's got a lot of characteristics to it that make it an interesting little character. I'm just not on board with 93 points, which is very high, again, for a $35 bottle of wine. This Grenache, to me, comes off with no strawberry, which I'm used to in Grenache, and comes off like a fruit bomb. I don't know what it's just kind of missing the spark. You know what I mean? It's got everything else, but it's missing the spark, which kind of drops it to a 91 in my book. I think it's a solid bottle of wine. I think you should try it. I think people should definitely go out and try this. It's got a unique flavor profile, a little eucalyptus, a little aloe. Kind of has like an aloe flavor. You know, you snap it and you rub it when you get the poison ivy or something like that. Anyway, nice wine. I'm going to say pass for me, but maybe you'll like it a little bit more because there's a lot of cool things going on in the wine. There definitely is some coolness in the wine. All right, El Nido Clio, 2003. And this wine is hot. 70% Montestrel, 30% Cabernet, 35 bucks, 96 points Parker. So, obviously we've been selling the balls out of this wine. I mean, it's just been insane. The wine is flying. Huge cherry and raspberry, a little bit of tobacco leaf on the nose, which is actually quite, not a little bit, pretty obvious. I like that quite a bit. A very deep nose, very deep nose. This does everything the Yerro doesn't. It's completely New World fruit. I actually get a taste of apricot. You know those dry apricots? Definitely the flavor profile of this wine, which I love. But besides being such a massive fruit bomb, the mid palate was great, and that's why I couldn't spit it, because the mid palate was coming in with a lot of exotic Asian spice The finish is still coming as I'm talking to you. The wine is excellent, very well structured. I really like this wine. This is a New World fruit bomb. It's definitely not for everybody. However, for all Old World Burgundy and Bordeaux fans, I will tell you something. This has a lot of structure and complexity, ones that you don't see in a lot of New World wines. And I think that really, or at least you don't see in a New World wine. And I really think that you can really come off enjoying this wine as well. This is a wine for a certain kind of occasion. You're skiing, you get back into the lodge, you pop this open, it'll warm you up in a minute. This is a massive wine. I mean, 15.5 alcohol. I mean, this is a big boy. It brings the thunder, maybe like I didn't a couple episodes ago. And I would tell you right now, this wine from Jumilla, which is a great area in Spain, is well worth 94 to 95 points. Parker definitely is steering everybody in the right direction in this wine. This is a lot of fun, and you need to seek this out. Nikolai wants some. I mean, this is good stuff. Yeah, this is a winner. Huge winner. All right, let's go to the comments. Jay says, I feel bad that none of the wines tickled your fancy. Don't know what to make of the draft thing at the end. Sorry, not a football fan. Jay, you can't watch WLTV if you're not a football fan. Oh, man. I wanted to know whose hand stealthily brought the water while you were tasting Lateral, and why. There didn't seem to be any reason for it. Jay, agree with you 100%. My main man, Eric Kastner, behind the mic here, behind the camera, decided that I didn't have any water and I had a big episode with Big Red Wine, so he went out and got some and slid it on. Once I saw that that was in your view, I kind of thought it'd be funny to just leave it there and see if anybody would spot it. I really didn't need it because I was rinsing and I thought it was fine. So, you're right, there was no reason for it. I found it kind of funny, and I hope you did too. Anyway, Chris Stan says, suggestion. And I think many would love to hear your answers to the question of the day on the next episode, of course. For example, what is your favorite winery? What did you think of the format tweak? Chris Stan, I will do that. So today's question of the day, I will answer next episode, tomorrow. Damon says, I've had several bottles of Cava lately. All have been fairly solid and super cheap. Do you have any favorites in that category? Damon, great call. Way to go, seriously. I'm a huge fan of sparkling wine. We've talked about champagne. I'm a big fan of Cava. Cava is an amazing area in Spain where you can get some amazing values for sparkling wine. Most people recognize Fresgenet, the black bottle. That is just straight garbage. But the one that I'm in love with right now is 1 + 1 = 3. Though their math skills aren't that strong, the Cava is exceptional. It's $10. I'm telling you, seek it out. It even beats out the Gruet that a lot of people like from New Mexico as their value champagne or sparkling wine, I should say, in the house. I would definitely seek out 1 + 1 = 3. It's a huge winner and great call on the Cava. Way to go. That's a great question. Brandon M says, Brandon, by the way, how's that t-shirt coming along? I know we got that out to you. That episode was definitely not one of my favorites. Do you watch what you eat before you taste? Do you, Brandon? Of course I do. I don't eat breakfast or lunch. For that matter, I barely eat. So, what really ends up happening is, because I don't eat breakfast or lunch, I taste these wines with a clean palate. I've got no problem. Can we get over the fact that the last episode, the 4 wines stunk, and I wasn't that into them? It just happens. Today I liked a lot of them, so, it's just the way it was. Sorry. Dan says, I have a question for you about one of your comments. What is bad wine color? Dan, that's a great question. I mean, basically every wine I put on Wine Library TV, I've noticed, I say, great color, great color, great color, great color. I'm pretty annoying. The reason is because most wines do have great color, but what would be bad color is if you have a Shiraz or a Cabernet or a big Spanish wine that you know is an intense fruit bomb and it comes off looking like Pinot Noir, you've got a problem. Or if you have a Pinot Noir that's got really brown edges, you've got a problem. So it's extremely rare nowadays because I think they shoot paint and ink into the wine. Just kidding. But the reality is they've really figured out the color game in wine. It's something that I just grew up, analyzing, and nowadays everybody's winning that game. But bad color does happen. A lot of times it happens in older wines, not so much these New World wines that we're tasting often on WLTV. So ultimately, to answer your question, it's a good point. There's really not that many bad colored wines, but when we find one, we're going to really, really piss on it here on Wine Library TV. Meg and many other people said, I'm a new fan and just caught up on episodes. When you described the Catherine Kennedy Lateral, you described it as both complex and one-dimensional. So which is it? I'm just a bit confused by the contradictory assessments. Meg and others, you are absolutely right. I kind of didn't articulate everything in my mind for that episode. Doing WLTV off the top of my head definitely has its downfalls. What I meant by a bit complex was the nose and the front palate was very complex. What happened was that was pretty much it. It ended there. It was like one good show. It's like a movie starts off good and then stinks. That's what it did. And so it ultimately made me kind of grade it as one-dimensional because that was like the one dimension that it showed, a good bouquet, a good nose. And so ultimately I didn't express myself perfectly, but the wine became one-dimensional because it only showed one aspect to me about a wine that was good, the front. Its mid-palate stunk, its finish stunk, and so ultimately that's what made it one-dimensional. I apologize for not articulating that any better. Finally, I'm going to ask the question of the day. Have you ever had a Barbaresco? And if so, what is your favorite Barbaresco of all time? I'm giving you a little preview to the next Wine Library TV episode. Finally, this is Gary Vaynerchuk on Wine Library TV, and let's see if Katie Couric can match this.